When governments, federal, state, or even local taxing bodies go out to sell bonds, they're going into debt. They're selling the promise that whoever buys that bond will get their principal and then some interest back after a set number of years. But that principal and that interest paid for by the taxpayer. Welcome back to the States. I'm Greg Bishop. As you'll hear from Everyday Economics host, the Center Square publisher Chris Krug and PhD economist Orphe Divounguy, government borrowing has never been free. The cost? It reaches your house in one of three ways.
Oh, we're spending more on interest than we are on defense right now. Government borrowing's never been free. The cost reaches your house in one of three ways. And Dr. O's new piece this week at the Center Square maps that out for you, Dr. O. Good to have you with me, my friend. Nice to be back and working with you.
Thank you. Good to have you back, my friend.
Hey, you open with a line, and I want you to unpack this. You write that somebody eventually pays for government borrowing. I think you may be the first person in punditry to call that out. The bill always arrives one way or the other. The only real reason is how it's addressed to us, right? You lay out three ways it can come: higher taxes, higher interest rates, or higher inflation. In plain English, what does each one of those actually look like when they do get to somebody's house? And are we seeing them already, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel nice, right? It's either a conversation about raising taxes in the future, or even currently, right? You hear different camps talking about, hey, we need to tax the rich and tax the rich more and more. So that it comes in that way sometimes. Although I think politicians don't want to be the ones talking about raising your taxes because it just looks bad during an election year. It comes in higher interest rates. We've been feeling it.
Yes.
Mortgage rates more than doubled in 2022, slowing down the housing market. Borrowing costs have been elevated. And if you're a small business and you're trying to borrow or you're trying to refinance at a lower rate, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Because rates are staying elevated. And even a couple of years ago, I mean, I was doing an event with the former president of Rocket Mortgage.
Okay.
And we were on stage and he was asked, hey, where are mortgage rates headed? I've been saying mortgage rates are not coming down. They're not coming down anytime soon for the reasons that I'm highlighting right now. Long-term government borrowing, pushing Treasury yields higher, and keeping the pressure on long-term bonds, right? Mortgage rates being basically one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So mortgage rates, car loans, business loans, and then of course higher inflation, right? If the economy is capacity constrained like it is right now, we don't have a lot of workers to do the jobs.
Right.
When the government goes out and decides it wants to build some new stuff,
yeah. So
it has to hire construction workers, right?
Yeah.
It has to find them, right? And if there's not a lot of construction workers going around, the price for that job goes up. The wage of construction workers goes up. The bill adds up, right? And so ultimately, and those guys, they go out and spend too into the real economy.
Right.
So the price goes up because, the construction company is like, yeah, I don't have a lot of workers. I need to charge you a little bit more so I could attract the workers by offering them higher wages. So all of that, right? Higher inflation is part of the story. And then that's hardest on the lower income families who spend basically 77% of their income on necessities, right? It's the rent. It's the food. And we've seen what happened to food prices. It's everything. And when you see wealthy people go shop at Walmart,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, and they're buying up everything, right? Well, guess what happens, right? Prices keep going up and up and up, and there's no slowing down. And then you have this war that and then all these other factors that are pushing gas prices higher. And
yeah.
So the bottom line is government borrowing, government spending just adds to the pressure on private households, and that's the story.
Yeah. So, taking a look at the federal accounting through June, right? As a nation, we spent $5.52 trillion and collected $4.15 trillion, right? Spending rose about $172 billion over the year. Net interest was roughly $78 billion of that. Now, nearly half of the entire increase, bigger than the increase in Social Security, bigger than the increase in Medicare, and bigger than our cost of defense. Interest is now the second largest thing that we've got in the federal budget. 20 years ago, it wasn't in the top 5. What's happened?
Chris, I mean, look, you said some big numbers, and most people $5 trillion. No one realizes how big this is, right?
That's a lot of zeros, cuz.
I think it's so much. It's so much money. We can't comprehend what that really means. But exactly what you said, right? The spending increase, right? Half of the increase over the past year going to interest payments, right? Well, if you're paying down, let's take this simple. Let's take a household. If the biggest share of your household expenses or bills is what you're paying in interest to your credit card company, well, what's left over to pay for other things, right? Like maybe food or, I don't know, your car payment, right? Or your house, your mortgage, whatever, right? So the point that I think that the important point for most households here is that as the interest payment balloons, other categories are getting cut, right? They're not getting a large share, the same share of the budget that they used to, right? In this case, it's education spending this past year. That's, you're seeing a big shrinkage relative to the total pie of the money that Washington is spending, right? Less of it going to education, more of it going to interest on the debt, right?
Right.
Now, here's what's happening. People will say, well, hold on a second. Why can't the Federal Reserve just cut interest rates?
Yeah.
Right? And the reality is the Fed can't do that. Why? Why can't the Fed just cut interest rates? Because if the Fed cut interest rates, guess what we would get?
Even higher inflation.
Even higher inflation. Exactly.
I've been paying attention these last few years.
We're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
We're going to pay for it no matter what. And that's why we started the segment by saying, look, it's higher taxes, higher inflation, or higher interest rates. That's just the way it works.
Well, so how do we come up and out of this? We're running up against time here. That's a tough question. But what are the things that have to happen in the economy in the next, coming months to see a net positive impact for most Americans?
Look, if my income is growing faster than my debt, right, or the interest rate on my debt, then I'm okay because I can service the debt out of the income growth.
Yeah,
right. It's the same thing for the federal government. If growth outpaces economic growth outpaces, interest rate, the effective interest rate, then you're okay.
Yeah.
The problem is if economic growth starts to slow, then you're in trouble, right? Because then you can't keep up with the payments, right? And the debt just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So that's the key. We need to grow our way out of it, and that's the part no one wants to hear in Washington, D.C., we need to cut some things.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your thoughts as always, Dr. O. Hey, make sure that you read Orphe's Everyday Economics column Mondays at the Center Square. Check out what Orphe's working on LinkedIn too. Everyday Economics is part of the States now. The States is integrated into the Center Square's daily news magazine. You can see the States on YouTube and streaming across a whole bunch of different digital platforms.